Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another exhilarating edition of Utah Homes HQ Live. We got a lot to talk about today. As you saw by the title, we're going to talk about Utah and housing affordability.
Yeah.
This
Exhilarating.
Is I know. It's what everybody grows up and doesn't understand that these are the types of things they get to deal with.
It is, yeah. I want to be a kid again. This adulting is not what I thought it was going to be.
Overrated.
Big time.
Which will only be followed up with another episode about taxes. But let's have some fun with it, if we can. So we are going to be reviewing an article that is written by James A. Wood, not the actor. I don't know what his initial is. But he is the senior.
He has an extra S, too, right? Isn't the actor James Woods?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
Anyway.
But aside from however James Woods, or Wood, spell his name.
How would spell Wood's name?
The senior fellow, and they ain't kidding. He's kind of an old guy with the Ivory-Boyer group, which is has some affiliation with the University of Utah. They're kind of an economic.
Yeah, it's part of this David Eccles School of Business.
Yeah. Sort of like an economic think tank, but more so they just digest economic data and put it into these compelling reports.
Yes.
Which on their own are fascinating, but we're going to bring our flavor to it today. Really bring it to life.
Flavor.
Yeah.
Going to Flavor Town. Wait, that's trademarked. I don't think I can say that.
YouTube is not going to like that. Okay. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to work my magic, and we're going to go into the transition. Now, this, of course, like always, we're going to include this. And this is you're so bored at night and have no other way to fall asleep. This article will be made available to you, so you can read through it. But it is interesting because it does affect everybody. And certainly those that practice the sale of real estate. So I was surprised to learn, we see right here the beginning of the article, there's 333,000 renter households.
In Utah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the flip side of that, there are 770,000 homeowners, and the way home prices rose through 2022, those of us that are homeowners increased our wealth collectively by $50 billion.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So, and I think you understand the flip side of that, renters increased their net worth by $0, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's how that works. Now, let's go to this sharp increase in rates. So all of this is going to lead up to the topic at hand, housing prices and affordability. So, couple of things to pay attention to. 30-year conventional mortgage rates have reached their highest level in 20 years, and both led to accelerating inflation. Inflation has been a hot topic in the last year or so, and this has a lot, which has a lot to do with, the federal fiscal stimulus, which exceeded $5 trillion. I love talking about trillion as if we have any concept. We just know it's more than billion.
Big it is just a number on a spreadsheet, isn't it?
It's impossible really to comprehend.
Yeah.
But,
the article gives a really good example of how that translates into actual dollars, and I think it's shocking. Is the median price is risen to $550,000 in the counties along the Wasatch Front, and with that, your monthly mortgage payment has gone up from an average of $2,900 to almost $4,300, a 46% increase in a single year, just because of rates going up as high as they have. So that's a huge hit to housing affordability when home prices are already quite high.
Yeah. I've aired this out on a few different occasions. But hindsight being what it is, you can nail the bullseye, right? So much easier.
Yeah.
Those low rates stayed low for at least a year too long.
Yeah. There should have been an easing of bringing the rates up versus just one day they're 3% and literally within weeks they'd climbed up above 6.
Yeah. And then didn't they peak around 7.5?
Yeah, the rate it was in January of 2022 was over 7%.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was really frustrating how that was handled. Now, as somebody that does not have a PhD in economics, maybe people won't take my credibility very seriously. However, many economists have agreed, or maybe I agreed with them. I don't know.
Many economists, and I.
Include myself in this group.
And me.
It wasn't handled well. Now, also, I've had many discussions as well. To curb the inflation, this is the only way to handle it. It just was rude.
It was
A non-economist assessment of how things were done.
I actually
was brutal.
remember your reaction at the time. You put your hands on your hips and went, "That's rude."
And I did some of this.
Yes, there was some finger
And
shaking.
then I told him to get off my lawn.
And then you said, "Humph," and turned around and walked away.
And went to bed. Yeah, so let me just scroll down here a little bit more.
And I know we don't do much with rentals, but obviously they're tied together. And there's been kind of a similar shocking increase across the board with the cost of renting a property as well.
Yeah.
So, everyone's feeling it. No matter what type of housing you have, we're all feeling that pinch.
And then I remember when we started to feel that pinch, you would constantly just, ooh.
Oh,
What is that?
as my grandma used to say, "Oh, I've been goosed." Is that a thing? Does anyone say that in your world? I didn't know if it was okay.
No.
If you get a little pinch on the bum, you say, "Ooh, somebody goosed me."
I'm trying to look on here. How the slow down? Okay. Yeah. No, we've already covered that part. There's more. And how? Okay. Oh, this is the part. Yeah, I wanted. Okay. Well, let me bring this back over here. So, if you can see that part that I've just highlighted, so it refers to kind of what a standard rule that a mortgage payment should not exceed 28% of gross income. So the income required to finance the median home price jumps from $125,000 in 21 to $183,000 in 22.
Yeah, which is, $125,000 is a lot, but now, yeah, to technically remain in that realm, you have to be making $200,000 a year.
Yeah,
basically, that's a problem. For the majority of the people in the state.
Well, in a big way. And so what I've kind of described what happened, so needs and demand for housing did not change.
Yeah.
So when these rates went through the roof and affordability went down the toilet, the needs were still there. And so effectively we caused a train wreck, a pile up on the I-15. It was bad. More and more people are entering that phase where they need a home as well. But these rates are it's that gap of affordability is so difficult to overcome.
Yeah.
Now rates have come down a little bit. We're still applying optimism.
Yeah.
Which I don't think economists would rely on that to navigate their way out of a difficult economic time. But truly, we don't know. There's just whisperings that these rates will come down into the 5.5 range.
Those are whisperings.
But we've got this wrinkle, this traffic jam, and we're going to get into what's happening right now as a result of that. But one thing I wanted to point out that rental rates grew twice as fast as renters' income.
Yeah.
Now, we've done this in other reports as well. People that rent have lower income anyways. They're not in jobs where they're being promoted. They're service workers in most cases, entry-level positions. Their incomes are not rising nearly fast enough to keep up with the cost of living. And it's hard to see. It's really hard to see. our sympathies go out to a lot of these, especially first-time home buyers that come to us. We work on getting them pre-approved, and they fall so short, unfortunately, of being able to afford a home that they need. Not even some dream home, but just to get them into
Yeah.
a townhome. BJ and I have been selling homes since they first figured out how to build a home. That's how long we've been doing this.
Wait.
Seems like it. I don't know. But there are entire price ranges that have just completely evaporated, that just simply do not exist. I think the very first home I ever sold in 2004 was $90,000. It was a bit of a fixer-upper,
Yeah.
but it was interesting. It had been on the market for weeks. We were not competing with anybody to get this home. I think the second home I sold was in East Kaysville, $140,000.
Yeah.
You know, and those were the price ranges we were used to for years and years and years, in the hundreds and 200s. If we sold a home in the $300,000 range, boy, we were working with somebody that was pretty rich, right?
That was an expensive home.
That was an
for sure.
expensive home. And now
And it wasn't that long ago. I think as recently, I mean, well, we talked about prices doubling in the last 5 years. As early as 2018, we sold a condo in Ogden for $78,000. That wasn't that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find that condo anymore for
No.
$78,000 anywhere. There's really not much even under $200,000 at this point.
Yeah. There really isn't. I'm listing a condo, 55 and older, here in North Ogden. It was built, I want to say, in the late 60s. Anyways, 1,100 square feet. It'll be priced at about $220.
Yeah.
And that's going to be one of the cheapest listings. You got to be 55 or older to get it in the entire county.
But even with that property, there's the issue of the HOA, right? Someone buying a home that can qualify for $220,000 still can't buy that house because they have to factor in the monthly HOA.
$250 for the HOA.
Yeah.
It has to be calculated in there, and that's $35,000 worth of buying power is chewed up for an HOA fee. So, let's get to what Mr. James A. Wood has to say about the outlook for 2023. Now, and to what we were just talking about, he notes that housing prices in Utah have nearly doubled in the past 5 years. Can see that. Can absolutely see that. I bought my home in 2012 for $233,000. I think it peaked at close to $650,000, $675,000 in value. Certainly that's retracted as well. So that was over the 10-year period. But a year-over-year price decline is possible given the extraordinary 42% increases from the fourth quarter of 2020 through the second quarter of 2022. Absent any serious recession or substantial job losses. The estimated worst-case scenario is a one-year price decline of 10%, followed by stable prices in 2024. So we wanted to kind of deal with that. Now let me bring us back to, okay. So let's talk about a few things that BJ and I are seeing right now. Yes, prices did retract, especially through the fall and through the spring. But again, now we're getting out of this burdensome winter, which has been really difficult. But back to the traffic jam. There's that many people that need a home. Rents have gone incredibly high. And so people that can and really need to purchase a home are in the market, and they're buying homes.
Yeah.
So despite these rates being slightly higher, demand and need for homes, especially under $600,000, and this really kind of applies even through Salt Lake a bit, are doing really, really well. Multiple offers are happening a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Our inventory is not great. We have, the last time I looked, we had about 4,500 active listings on the MLS. At our worst, I think we were at 1,700 active listings.
Yeah.
Because that's as long as anything could stick around on the MLS before it got gobbled up. But it's simply not enough. So the best of what does come on the market is getting gobbled up. So we're seeing over list price. We're seeing strong terms again.
Yeah. I was surprised. I had a house that made an offer on with clients this past weekend that had 9 offers and ended up going for $25,000 above asking price. It was a $475,000 property, but that kind of shocked me that we're back to that. But it's because it came on the market, super cute house. There hadn't been one like it that had popped up for several weeks. So yeah, that pool of buyers, they're all coming to see that house, and they all fell in love with it.
So we still talk to a lot of people who their position is, I'm going to wait for rates to come down and prices to come down. I don't have good news for you. I think we've kind of bottomed out, and especially for that sub $600,000 buyer.
Yeah.
I think we've retracted enough. I think we'll see increases through early parts of the summer, possibly longer. Again, back to that traffic jam. Now, assuming these rates don't run back up into the 7s, I don't think they will.
Yeah.
BJ, you have a major in economics. What's your forecast?
I do. My major's in communications. I specifically avoided economics and any business-related fields because of the math component, of course.
The math will kill you every time. I think we've kind of settled down. You know, it's interesting as well, and I don't have stats to back this up. This is anecdotal based on observations, but high-end homes have been selling well. Multi-million-dollar homes.
Yeah.
I've got a listing up in Ogden Valley that will be in the low $4 million price point in a few months. Observing what's going on up there, I've seen a lot of homes move very quickly for cash in the $3 and $4 million range.
Yeah. And I think it has to be said, right? People that can afford that house are less impacted by these shifts that hit the rest of us much harder.
Definitely. We just had a closing today that was close to $1 million. And high income earners don't need to sell their homes, can continue to keep those homes, rent those properties out. I'm showing a home this afternoon, much to your same price point, $475,000. For the whole area, it's hands down the best looking house. Now, my buyers are just starting to look right now. These are past clients. It's going to go. This house is selling this weekend. There's no two ways about it. It's super nice, very well maintained. It demonstrates value against its competitors by it's superior to those properties. It's sold. It's as good as sold. So in the headline, we talked about a solution.
We did?
We did.
Oh,
and this is my
I'm
solution.
Anxious to find out.
It's one word. Acceptance. It's just what it is. Unfortunately, demands for housing, lack of housing supply, continuing. Nothing's changing, right? So we would need a significant economic punch to the gut to change this. Interest rates go up. Political, economic, or environmental disaster, something like that. Something would have to affect the demand.
Yeah.
And bring that demand down in order for prices to come down. I mean, this is basic economics. Even for our junior college dropouts, I understand how this works. But that's what the forces are. So unfortunately, acceptance, preparation. Housing is requiring more of our income. We're starting to look a lot more like California that way. It's just the cost of living. So, you know, for people that want to continue to live in Utah, this is what it seems to be the landscape.
Until that lake dries up, and then prices are really going to become nice and affordable.
Hey, that's we got a lot of water coming down. Now, half of our homes will be flooded out, so it's only going to make the problem worse, right?
Well, and I mean, I agree that acceptance is important. However, there are a serious lack of voices in the state, and I think everywhere, promoting solutions for housing affordability. So you can accept that things are the way they are, but there's opportunities to maybe advocate too, because we do need something. We've got to figure. I mean, there are some government programs that can assist, but I mean, for the average person that's just working their job, and even in homes with 2 or 3 income earners, it's still challenging. So solutions need, because that is kind of the gist of this article to me, is this is how it is, and yeah, there's a few things out there, but not much. So I honestly don't know what the solution would be, but it does seem like there's a lack of advocacy that's happening as well, in my observation.
There are political leaders that are trying to confront this, but I think the issue is so big.
Yeah, what do you do? I don't know. I'm not saying do something, because I don't know what that solution is. The demand, the people like living here and want to live in Utah and California and Washington, Oregon. Those are all good examples of I think, like you say, what we're experiencing now. We're kind of at the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of sad in a way too, when you think about your own children and their children. Are they going to have to move out of state? What are their options going to be?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly. I was going to go down that road. My son is a junior in high school. He works at Little Caesars. He makes $12.50 an hour, which is more than triple what I made as a junior at my job in high school. At a full-time rate, he's only making $2,000 a month.
Right.
You take out taxes. You take out a 1-bedroom rent, which in our area is $1,400
for a 1-bedroom.
You're working full time. You're dead broke. This doesn't pay for food, cell phones, any living.
Right.
Nothing can go wrong in your life. So it's a big challenge. And I say it somewhat flippantly as acceptance, because I don't know that there's anything that's going to overcome it.
Yeah.
And we see this in Canada as well, and certainly in our major metropolitan areas, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, all throughout California. Housing is just so expensive. So what people are working around, we have multiple multi-generational living arrangements. Certainly it makes sense that kids are staying home for a lot longer.
Right.
And I don't see anything dramatic happening for quite some time.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, there's not a good example of a large-scale solution in any of those major cities, right? In states where that has happened. So one can hypothesize that we're not likely to see any large-scale solutions here either. So yeah, I completely agree. Acceptance is a big part of it. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think, thinking about our own children, of course, I can see them being here in our basement for a while, because, where are they going to go?
Well, you've always talked about wanting a butler and wanting a chef.
Oh, I see.
And wanting a landscape professional.
Get a real Mr. Belvedere situation going here. Or Tony Danza. That was all.
Hey, yo, Angela. Hey, yo, away.
The 80s, man. What a time. Everyone had butlers. All the sitcoms, every family.
Homes. They wouldn't even have to be mansions. Yeah. They had live-in. The Brady Bunch, but there were 6 kids. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
I kind of lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. That was my fault.
This is going to be the difference maker on this whole conversation. Well, no, actually, and that's been my feedback on all of these legislators having these conversations about we have a solution for low-income housing. We're going to build all these units for low-income families. Is the land cheaper? Is the cost of labor to build these structures cheaper?
Right.
Are the materials cheaper?
You can't offset all the costs.
You can't offset all the costs. So in that chain, so if you build a home with just one of our local builders, I mean, they have the cost of land, the cost of labor, cost of materials, then they've got that profit margin, which clearly they deserve. What part of that chain of construction is going to have to be eliminated?
Right.
Are we just subsidizing that? And just, which there are examples of subsidized housing, Section 8, things like that. I'm not deep enough in those conversations to know what that solution is, but whatever it is, it's not enough for the people that need it.
Yeah.
So.
It's not a large-scale solution necessarily. Yeah.
So, anyways, that's
I'm sorry. I think, I mean, it's important to be positive, right? But at the same time, I think it is important to be realistic
about it.
And the acceptance part of it is a big part of that. But yeah, we can't sugarcoat what's happening here. There's a real affordability, I would say, crisis that has occurred in the last 5 years.
I remember moving out of my parents' house, and there was just no concern. Like, yeah, go get an apartment.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I've got my job. I've got my roommates.
My first apartment in 1999 the rent was $550 a month, and we had a basement.
Wow. Yeah, it wasn't an issue. It wasn't a hurdle. It wasn't a problem. I've had to have this conversation with my kids. Like, as you are graduating high school, moving on to college, you got to bring your A game. If you want to get out of here and live, unfortunately, you got to bring your A game. I'm not sure I know what that means. I'm just trying to elevate their motivation. Like, you got to, you can't go out there and develop debt. You're going to have to be responsible for every nickel that you earn, because at least 50, 60%, maybe in some cases, is going to go to that monthly rent payment. So
I'm still searching for my A game.
We'll discuss that on another episode. So, anyways, this is if you are a nerd for stats and data, this organization is, and I've sent it to a couple people that have asked me demographic questions. Their resources are profound. Their website is huge. There's so many different things that they're looking at. And I think these guys provide the type of information that our legislators utilize to make decisions.
Yeah.
They have an eye on future, an eye on growth. What are things going to look like, and try and be prepared for those things. Because to respond to these issues retroactively is dangerous. And so we have to stay ahead of these things.
And maybe that is the encouraging thing, right? I mean, this is basically the guiding research for our state's, plan, whether it be a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan. And you look at the list of people that are involved, and it's basically everyone that you would think of in Utah that's a policymaker, and they're relying on this information. So it's definitely a good one to dive into. It's just good stats and good information.
Well, with that, we'll see you at the next episode.